This chapter of One Piece, the latest chapter, reminds me a lot of a seinen. Now, I know One Piece Oda Sensei has tackled complicated themes in the past with other wonderful characters in previous chapters, but once again, this is one of those times where Oda has transcended the normal stuff you see in a shonen as it pushed it to a whole new level, and you can just truly see how much effort Oda puts into his world, what he does for his characters, and just characterization and development. This is one of those chapters, and I gotta say, out of everything I've seen from this year, I mean, there's been a lot of hype moments. The Brook stuff, to Sanji stuff and all that. I mean, there's been some really amazing stuff that's happened this year for One Piece. But I think out of everything I have seen, personally, thus far, from this year of One Piece, this is my favorite chapter. And I think the reason why it is because of how it dives into who Big Mom is, or in this case, Linlin. Big Mom, as a character, has always been mysterious. We know Big Mom is very powerful. We know Big Mom is a Yonko. We know you should not underestimate Big Mom. We know that she has incredible strength. We have seen her feats in the recent chapters of this arc. We know Big Mom is not someone you want to necessarily go up against, because she will probably wreck you. And because of this, we have been wanting to know a little bit about Big Mom. What made Big Mom like she is? Why is she acting like she does? Why does she treat her children like she does? Why does she have this hunger for food like she does? I mean, there's just so many things. And also, what was her upbringing like? Is she a giant, or is she just, some child that was, experimented on? We've had so many questions about, Linlin, and we finally get some of these answers with this chapter. And like I said, it pushes into a nice line to where it feels seinen. And let's explain why. Big Mom, we know Big Mom, there's something really wrong with Big Mom. What we know, because of Big Mom's personality and how she treats everyone around her, and I've talked about this many times and others have as well, that's probably going to be her downfall. That's going to be why Big Mom falls from grace and she probably won't be a Yonko, or, she's defeated and Luffy and all of them get away, is because Big Mom's own mistakes. Her making errors because she's not doing the proper thing with, her, actual family in general. She's just not treating them right at all, and they're afraid of her. And we finally now understand kind of the reason. Oda makes you question throughout this chapter if it was actually the upbringing of Linlin that caused her to act like she did, or was she born with some form of mental disorder? Now, I don't know necessarily what it is, because Oda doesn't give that much clarification. I don't think Weekly Shonen Jump might, appreciate something like that if Oda was to go that far into it. Regardless, though, we don't really know if Linlin had a mental disorder, or if it was just because of her upbringing she just didn't understand, and it might still be a mix of both. And the reason for this is because clearly, from what we could see from the information from the latest chapter, Big Mom didn't have someone in her life that really taught her right and wrong. Her original parents, you could see that they did try at first. They tried to help her out, and you could see that, they did care. They did care about Linlin, but they couldn't do anything about her because of the way she had these outbursts, this strength, and when she's a little bit angry, she can accidentally kill someone. I mean, even in the chapter, it shows that her just slapping or spanking a bear, she managed to kill a bear, a grown adult bear, with just one spank or a slap. And she broke a giant's bones by swatting a mosquito. So when you clarify and look at all of this, you're like, Big Mom has tremendous strength. And a person of her age, a child of her age, with that type of strength, obviously people are going to get hurt. She has tremendous power, and she doesn't know necessarily how to control it. And it goes even further with how her parents tried to handle this situation. It's kind of like this. You have two normal parents, regular human beings, and they have this child like, Big Mom, and she's bigger than normal, and on top of that, she has this tremendous strength to where she can accidentally kill someone just by hitting them a little bit. Like, you know, when a child's young, they go through temper tantrums. That's a common thing. Children do that. That's how children are. They go through temper tantrums, and they'll probably hit things, break things, and that's probably what Big Mom was. She went through probably temper tantrums when she was like a baby, throughout, you know, where she was at the start of this chapter, and just her parents couldn't, you know, deal with it anymore because she was causing so much harm to the people around her, probably killed a couple people, did whatever, destroyed buildings, and so basically they just couldn't anymore, and so they eventually decided to put her at a place to where maybe she might be able to fit in, and someone might be able to raise her and put her down the proper path. So we got to kind of look at it like this, okay? I'm not saying Big Mom's parents, you know, kind of abandoning her was the right move. It wasn't. It's fucked up. You shouldn't abandon your child. But at the same time, though, you got to look at it from both sides here. The parents knew they couldn't do anything. They tried from what we can see, but they couldn't. Because if they didn't want to try, they would have given up, you know, Linlin right at the start as soon as she was born. So they clearly tried somewhat with her, but it just didn't work out. And clearly multiple times of that from what, you know, was said by the parents. So we know that the parents tried, but they still abandoned her, which, like I said, that's still fucked up. I don't, you know, think that should happen, but we could see from that perspective. And on the other side, we have someone like Mother Caramel that also raised Linlin. Now, I'll get into her in a second. Basically, both of these parents were not the proper parents to have. For instance, her original family, and then, you know, Mother Caramel. The reason why is because both of these sides show what's wrong with parenting in general and how it could cause some issues in a child and their upbringing. Now, like I said, we don't necessarily know if it was thanks to the parenting to why Big Mom was acting like she was, or if it was because of a mental disorder. And like I said, it most likely is both. It's probably a mix of both. But the point here stands is that Mother Caramel, when she was introduced, we found out about her character of how she was a very compassionate woman. She was someone that didn't want to see just evil in someone. She would look at you, even if you're an evil person, and she would try to find good in you. She wanted to forgive you. She was someone that you could consider a saint. She was someone that wanted to be kind to everyone and treat everyone like equals. And in all honesty, someone like that, that's a beautiful outlook on life. And it's a beautiful trait to have as a person, to have that type of personality to where you want to forgive everyone for whatever happens, even if they accidentally kill someone, which that you have to be a saint to be able to forgive for something like that. But basically shows Mother Caramel, she was someone that was a really kind individual. She didn't really have a hateful bone inside of her body. Now, we don't know exactly what led to the circumstances for Mother Caramel to act like she did, because from all we know, Mother Caramel could have had like some form of horrible past that led her to be like that, and why she forgave everyone just like that, which might explain why she, you know, probably didn't treat Linlin properly like how a parent really should, which that's what I want to get into. So like I said, Mother Caramel, she is someone that is a very kind person. However, just because you're kind doesn't mean you're a good parent. Now, I'm not saying that she abused Linlin. I'm not saying that she didn't show proper love to Linlin. However, what Mother Caramel did was something you shouldn't do. She, in a way, she tried to handle the situation the best of her abilities, but it just wasn't enough, and she kind of encouraged Big Mom's actions for what she was doing. For instance, let's look at the bear scene, okay? The bear scene with the wolf. Big Mom talks about how she saw the bear and Mr. Wolf fighting. They were in a fight, which we know that was pretty much a life or death situation. In wildlife, they were trying to kill each other. And so Big Mom, noticing this, she wanted to make sure that these two got along. She wanted them to be friends. Now, obviously, since she's a child, she didn't understand that. She didn't completely understand what that meant with these two fighting. They were fighting over territory, most likely food, protecting their children. There's all a variety of different things that could be applied to why the bear and the wolf were fighting. Regardless, though, Big Mom didn't understand what was going on. So she's like, oh, they need to be friends. And she automatically assumed that everything can be friends, because that's just not how nature works. Not everything can be friends. It's kind of like putting, you know, a tasty, like, I guess, bird in front of a cat, a wild cat. They're going to definitely attack that bird, most likely, if they're hungry. So when you look at it like that, Big Mom didn't understand or grasp that. That's just how nature is. And so when she walked in and saw this, she was like, I want to put these two in a cage together. I want them to work it out and be friends. But that didn't necessarily happen. As we see, Mr. Wolf died, while Big Mom, upset with it, she slapped the bear, which in turn killed the bear in one hit, which tremendous strength, by the way. So because of that, scene, she got very upset. She was sad. And then Mother Caramel came over and was like, oh my god, like in her mind, she killed the bear in one hit. And then as she's talking, like, oh, you were just trying to make them be friends, weren't you? And the way Mother Caramel went about that, it was like she was encouraging Linlin to continuously try to make people be friends with each other, which, like I said, it's a noble thing to do, but at the same time, the way she went about it was very naive and something that doesn't just work. Not everybody can be like that. Not everybody can be friends or be in the same room together. Like I said, a bear and a wolf that are wild being in the same room together, that just doesn't necessarily work. And so with the way, Mother Caramel went about that, she was being too nice. She wasn't giving the proper discipline to Linlin. Now, like I said, I don't think that Mother Caramel should have went out of her way to completely just put down Linlin and make her feel like absolute shit, but there had to be some form of line drawn there, which once again goes back to the parenting between the original parents and then Mother Caramel. The original parents, you could see they tried, and they probably were a little bit more stern and all that, or they were a little bit distant from Linlin because of how different she was, while Mother Caramel, she tried to grow closer to her, but she was being too nice about it, which in turn caused it to where she was encouraging the actions from Linlin, and she went down the proper route, which we see later on in the future when she becomes an adult, and what's going on in the present day of the current arc of One Piece. So when you look at these two things, obviously, Mother Caramel, she may have been a good person, but she wasn't a good parent. She spoiled the children too much. She spoiled them, sheltered them, and didn't teach them what was right from wrong. She just looked at it and thought, let's forgive them and all that, and she didn't really try to punish them and teach them what was really wrong or right. And so Linlin went throughout her life not really realizing right from wrong. And if she has a mental disorder on top of that, that's going to be even worse. So I don't necessarily feel bad for Big Mom. Like, okay, look, I feel bad for her, but at the same time, though, still the fact is that I don't feel like everything she's done is justified. I shouldn't forgive her for what she has done, because she's done a lot of evil stuff. But once again, this goes along the lines of how, thanks to her upbringing, has caused her to be like she is, why she harms people, why she treats everybody like she does, and why people fear her, because she doesn't know how to control her strength. That's one of the big things we need to notice and take from, is that Big Mom was never really told that she has this tremendous power that she needs to be able to control, that she needs to be able to hold back, she can harm people. And you can see throughout the dialogue of the chapter, when she was like handling the Long Arm tribe, and then Mother Caramel, tried to stop her, and she's like, oh, he's different and all that because he has long arms, because he's from the Long Arm tribe. Or, the merfolk, for instance, oh, I ripped off the fins because, they were different. I wanted to help them out. Big Mom was going out of her way to help out these people. She wasn't trying to be malicious or evil. She was being very innocent, but she was causing harm to others that looked very different, or different from how a normal person should look. And in this case, once again, this goes back to the upbringing. Big Mom, most likely in her early childhood, before she met Mother Caramel, her parents probably always looked at her like, oh, you are different. You're very different. You're not normal. That's probably how her parents looked at her. And you could see these type of little subtle details throughout the chapter. Probably her parents didn't treat her right. Probably thought like, oh, she's different. She's not normal. Which, in this case, she isn't necessarily normal. She's different. She's definitely different. We gotta face that fact. That's the cold hard facts with this chapter. She is different. However, the way her parents went about it, most likely, they put it right in her face, didn't go the right path with it, and caused it to where she thought someone needed to act like this certain way, or, look this certain way. That's probably how Big Mom thought or imagined things should be. And so when she saw people that were different from normal people, she assumed like that was wrong because of her teachings from her original parents. It's probably what caused her to want to, rip off fins, or, take off an extra part of their arm or whatever from the Long Arm tribe, because they have, differences compared to how, Linlin looks or normal human beings look. And so when she was able to meet the giant, she realized, holy crap, there's people that look like me and all that. There's actually people that, fit in with me, and she didn't feel much different anymore. She felt like she was there, like she had someone she could, connect with, which shows why Linlin wanted to be with the giants, why she wanted, to be able to make giants. We now understand this concept because she was very lonely, and she felt very different because she knew she was different deep down, but the way she was taught, she didn't really know how to handle it. So because of this, I love how Oda went about this and tried to develop Linlin in a way to where she's like, she's an adult, but she's still a kid. She has the mental capacity of a kid. I mean, she has changed a little bit, she has matured a little bit, but she still has these certain kiddish traits about her. So, yeah. Amazing stuff Oda has done with this chapter. I just gotta compliment the man for this chapter. It's really deep. It's a really nice chapter, and I just can't believe, Big Mom has this type of past. So, besides all of that, though, let's talk about, just the world building, okay? I think I've talked about Big Mom enough. I mean, I think I've covered what I wanted to say, basically, about, how she is different and what's probably going on with her, and how, her upbringing was from her original and then her now new family. We now understand. But, we get introduced to the world's oldest warriors, and one of them's named Fallbeard, and one of them's named Mountbeard. One's 344 years old, one's 345 years old. Pretty damn old. They have seen probably a lot of stuff. Like, they have seen probably some heinous stuff, good stuff. They have lived a long life, so they definitely have seen so much to where they could probably tell some really interesting stories when, the Straw Hat crew probably meets them, if they're not dead. Now, judging by the conclusion of the chapter, we can assume that they might be dead because of Big Mom. We know something happened between Big Mom and the Giants, and I feel like there's more to it than her just destroying a village and going in a raging fit. There has to be more there. There has to be something else that happened, and most likely Big Mom might have killed these oldest warriors since they were so respected by Elbaf and all that, the citizens of Elbaf. I'm assuming she probably accidentally killed them in a way. Because at the end of the chapter, you see a bunch of giants and everybody on the ground, either dead or broken bones, whatever, and this is a kid that's like 5 years old or whatever. That's insane, just how Big Mom was able to do this much damage to Elbaf, the giants home island. How she could do that is just ridiculous. And so it shows how much of a monster Big Mom was since her early age when she was very young. So you gotta factor all of this in once again with her parents. If Linlin could decimate Elbaf, like a city of Elbaf and all that, just completely wreck it, there is no way regular human parents could have helped her out to even control her strength, because there's just no way they could have understood her because of how much strength she has. And even for giant standards, she clearly has more strength than a normal giant as well. So it's understandable now why her parents, like I said, didn't know how to deal with her. Now, like I said, I don't think it was right they abandoned her, but it clearly shows, and we can understand now why they eventually went down that path, because of this strength, how she could do something like that with just going in a raging fit. And if this is to say anything, at the age of 5, for Big Mom to be able to do something like this to the, the land of the giants, imagine what she's about to do many years into the future with the Straw Hats. So yeah, it's probably going to be bad. That's probably why Katakuri was white as a sheet, like why the man was scared, is because of this right here. Anyways, basically, we get a little bit more information about Mother Caramel and how she kind of made a bridge between man and giant. And that's some very interesting world building. So the reason why giants were able to join the military and all of that for, the Navy and stuff, was thanks to Mother Caramel. She set that all up. She built the bridge for this. So she is definitely very important to the major world of One Piece. She has definitely set something up. And we do know most likely she is dead, because when it comes to One Piece and all that, we know Mother Caramel is probably dead. I mean, this is a flashback, so I don't know necessarily exactly what happened, but most likely, from what I'm assuming, judging by how Big Mom has fits, I'm assuming Big Mom killed Mother Caramel, and she probably is unaware of it. She probably killed Mother Caramel, and that is why she's upset. Or she doesn't realize she killed Mother Caramel, and she thought Mother Caramel just, left her, abandoned her, but in fact, in reality, she did kill her. So, one or the other might have happened. So, basically, The world building, though, of this with Mother Caramel was pretty ridiculous because she made a bridge. On top of that, we also found out about, how important our two giants, the first two giants we saw in the series of One Piece when we first entered, the Grand Line. They're still very important. Like Dory and Brogy or whatever, I think that's how you pronounce them. They are still very important. It just shows how much they have an effect on this series because of the information from this chapter as well. So, I mean, overall, just a great chapter, a very good chapter of One Piece, a lot of wonderful information and great meaning to, Big Mom's past. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I love you all so much. Please be safe. Chibi out.